Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Don't Forget to Tap. Welcome to episode 9, and I'm calling this one Throws, Chokes, and Goodbyes. So obviously, I'm taking this week off, just kind of trying to prevent an injury that I slowly feel coming. But last week, I was very active in training, and next week, I'm going to be right back at it, super active with training. And last week was a really cool week. I learned a lot of stuff. I did a seminar. It was my first seminar actually, and it was kind of a pretty significant one because it was taught by one of our professors who was leaving, and she was the first, really the first person to welcome me through the door, and just kind of helped me, learn how to tie the belt and all the basics and everything. And so it was really cool. And it was, always bittersweet to watch anybody leave, but to know that they're on to the next step of their journey and everything. So I figured I'd talk about some of the techniques I learned, some of the lessons I learned through those techniques, things I want to improve on and stuff like that. And then just kind of talk about how the seminar went. And yeah, so we'll get started. So some of the techniques that we learned. So we learned to throw, and something I actually started doing last week was actually journaling. So I do the podcast, but I realize by the time I get to the podcast that I forget a lot of things. I forget a lot of things really easily, and so I try to take a few notes just to help me remember. And so I'll reference a few of those, obviously. But biggest things are we learn this throw, and basically it's the situation is they throw a punch, and you might hear a little bit of background, but basically the person, the opponent, would go to throw a punch. It basically what was going to happen is you're going to deflect it over the opposite. So when they throw the punch, it's the same punch forward as the foot that they have forward. You're going to deflect it over the opposite. So if they're throwing to your, let's say they're throwing from their left, you're going to dodge over your right. You're going to you're going to step in, you're going to establish a grip, and you're going to keep your head outside. You're going to shift your body opposite of your head, and it's a 2-step, and go knee to knee. And so this is really important because the first couple of times we did this throw, I kind of struggled with this. So what it looks like is you've established but control over them. You've lowered your level, and you've got your head on the outside, and you've got a cable or we'll say they didn't really establish. I found what worked for me, but you establish a grip behind them, and then you shift your body opposite of your head, which is on the outside of their body, and you're going to take a step out, and then your inside foot is going to go behind their knee and kind of go knee to knee with them, and that actually really helped drive them down. And then from there, you're going to kind of break their posture and take them to the ground. And so that was a really good one. I always enjoy throws, just because I know that those get really important the longer you go in the game and everything, or at least that's what I'm told. And then came something that I realized very quickly is a humongous weakness for me, full mount. And it doesn't matter if I'm on top or bottom, I've got so much to learn. And so I'm sure some of you guys out there, if you listen, especially the more experienced people, or if you're comparing yourself against me, any experience. So I'll kind of talk about some of the difficulties I found, but I'll talk about the technique first. So the first thing that we learned was both of these are full mount escapes, right? And so you're on the bottom, and what first thing you're going to do is you're going to pin their arm against their waist, and you're going to frame it with your hand, and you're creating a shield essentially, but you're pinning that arm up against them, and then you're bracing that with the hand. Push away, and you're going to shrimp out and reach opposite leg over and trap their foot. So you're trapping to bump, and establish a figure 4 with both. So you're gonna, when you get it in there, you're gonna slide your hand through. You're gonna establish a grip over your own wrist, and then push body away and rotate your knees opposite. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna push them away, and you're gonna drive your knees to the opposite, and it's gonna allow you to create a space to frame out and get in a better position. And so I'll come into a couple notes with that here shortly, because I trust me, I wrote plenty of notes on things that I need to learn on this. But then the second one was another full mount escape, and it's kind of the same thing. You're on the bottom, you pin their arm, and you frame with their hand. You bring your feet upwards towards their butt, and you bump and push and roll them, and you hip escape twice and establish a frame. So what's going to happen is you bring your feet up towards their butt, you bump, and so you catch them off guard, and they lose their balance in their position. This is really hard to do in when they're in a high mount. And so something an additional thing I learned, and I'll get into it a little bit more, but using your elbows, and I'm not sure that, again, with my lack of experience, this is what I know to do, but using your knees to kind of drive out and really fighting out. And I fried my shoulders last week just trying to get out of high mount, full mount escapes, or high full mount escapes. But it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, really good workout. But anyway, so once you get out of that high mount and you get them, you bump and you push and you roll them, hip escape out of it and establish your frame. And it's they're gonna just, so when you go to push, I got to clarify, when you go to push, they're gonna catch themselves, and that's when you have the opportunity to create that space to pull out and establish that frame. And coach was saying you could do a spider, a bunch of things. I'm sure people that have experience can find a whole lot more things to do, but seem to work pretty well. Definitely something to keep practicing as a whole. And that's really a big thing, is that full mount was just really challenging for me, and it wasn't even being on bottom, believe it or not. It was actually being on top, really shifting my weight. I never put a whole lot of weight on people. It's just really kind of not something that I'm used to doing. And so I got a lot of really good help from some of my fellow students. The coach was great, spent a lot of time helping my partner and me, but subsequently my partner, um, just kind of really learn how to control that on top. And it's really challenging. I mean, it was just really hard for me to get that, and I was getting rolled like constantly. So if you got some advice out there, your experience, I would love to hear what you do to maintain control when you're in top on full mount. Something that I learned, so I wrote some sparring notes. Keeping your elbows tight, and there's a whole nother podcast called Elbows Tight, and that makes a whole lot of sense. But keeping your knees really tight as well. And if you do that and you're keeping them tight, if they're trying to look for those things to kind of pull you into or set traps for you, you can wear them down, because really, if you're on bottom especially and you're trying to look for the escape, letting them wear down seemed to work a whole lot better for me. Not to say that I just go into pure defense mode, but letting them kind of seeing what they're doing and reacting based on that. Uh, Look for any traps, like when they lift their hand off the ground. So if I bump them and they put their hand on the ground, and they lift it, if you see an opportunity, if they let go of their elbows, or they leave a leg out or something, there's opportunity there. So I really am going to come back to that. Keep the elbows and the knees tight. I follow a lot of jujitsu pages and everything, and I saw this one, and it was by a very experienced individual. It seemed to be a very experienced individual, and they just said, if you can just try to focus on connecting your knees and your elbows all the time and keep them really tight against your body, keep your body compressed, then you're more likely to have a really good defense. And so I've tried to follow that mentally when I'm sparring. Um, so, like I said, when I'm on the full mount on top, I have, or when I have a full mount going, I have a hard time controlling it, and I was getting bumped, and I wasn't shifting my weight right. And so, grind your something that I learned, and I wrote this down as what have you learned, is grinding your hip weight on the opponent when on top, and shift weight as needed. Focus on technique. Um, and there's a bunch of different ways to do that. You can place your foot down, you can use your hands, try to keep a wider frame, but really putting that weight down, it was a big deal, and it's something that I'm going to have to work on a lot. Points to approve on. So I have a hard time with arm bars. And again, if you're out there, you're listening, I would love to hear back from you on what you do to do these things. But I got this dude, so I escaped out of the full mount, and I got an arm bar in on my partner, and I couldn't finish it. And I don't know. Again, I'm very inexperienced, so most of you guys are probably out there laughing at me, and that's okay. I accept that full heartedly. But again, this podcast is about the lack of experience, not the saying that I have experience. And I got this armbar in, and I focused on keeping the thumb up, and I put it against the inside of my thigh, and I raised my hips. And coach gave some pointers and everything as far as like where to brace and things you can do. But when I was kind of doing it on my own and I was out there, I could not finish it. I couldn't get the right pressure in. So I really and then I went back and watched some videos and picked up some tips. But I'd love to hear from you guys. So if you have any good anything really on that, that would be incredible to get that point of view from you guys. So that's just a little bit of what I focused on last week. We learned a lot of different techniques, and it was a lot of fun. I definitely think that the journaling is helping a lot. Oh, my dog's over here saying hi. Say hi, Sylvie. But yeah, so the journaling definitely helps. But then I also have my planner that I write down some of the things I plan on talking about. And so focus on breathing. Don't let them wear out. Don't wear yourself out in that process. Don't hold grips over. Don't overhold grips, I guess. Breaking grips is always something that, again, I'm warning, is something that is critical. But I tried to hold on to something that I think I had already lost, and it ended up with me getting armbarred. And so if the grip is broken, keep your strategy going, stuff like that. And this is all advice from the people who have the experience, the coaches, the professors, and everything. But don't be stubborn about it. Don't be afraid to keep looking for strategy, and looking for the next opportunity and opening. So full mount is my weakness. Like I said, it is by far the thing that I struggle the most, not being on bottom, but being on top. And I know that's crazy to some people. They're like, how do you have a hard time being in the full mount? Like, you have the person where you want them. But it was just really difficult for me. I was getting bumped, I was getting turned. Now when I get on the bottom, I feel like I have a lot more strategy, a lot more opportunity. But that wasn't really the point of the drill. So it was definitely something to be worked on, something I'm going to keep working on, and just keep drilling, drilling, drilling. And I'm actually, whenever I do the private lessons, I'm going to do a couple of private lessons with my coach. I'm going to set those up with him and everything, but I've already talked to him to let him know that I'm interested. I definitely would love to work on full mount because it was whooping my ass. And but I had a lot of fun. And this week, it really killed me to not go to training this week. But I kind of, like I said, through a different program that's not even jujitsu related, I ended up kind of getting a little bit of a tear, and it's not full yet, but I'm trying to avoid it. And so I think the best thing to do is just to kind of avoid the injury and take the week. And so I'm going to get in pretty hard next week and get on the mats and everything. So but then to the next part of it, right? So it's called throws, chokes, and goodbyes. And so the goodbyes, right? So the I try not to use names without permission, obviously, and everything. But we had a phenomenal professor. She's absolutely amazing. And so she held a 2-hour seminar, and I attended. I signed up. I went, and it was amazing how many people went. I mean, we almost didn't have room on the mats, which was such a cool thing, honestly, for all the people that came. And it was people of every variety of belt, everything from the new white belts like myself to we had multiple black belts, multiple brown belts, quite a few purple belts, a lot of blue belts. It was just really cool. We had a lot of the youth there who those guys can kick my butt too. So it was just really, really awesome to see that community come together. And it was a phenomenal seminar. Learned a whole lot of things. I learned my first I learned my first toe holds, and learned how to attack some different guards. It was a lot of leg game, and it was just really amazing. She's such a great professor. She has so much to teach. She's headed to Alabama, and it was a phenomenal seminar. I'm so glad I went. And it was definitely an emotional thing to watch somebody leave that gym. I'm new to it, but the sense of community in that gym is outstanding. And anytime that you lose a member of that family, especially a long-standing member of it, it definitely it's something that is bittersweet because they're on to the next chapter, but you're also losing that experience and that person where you're training. So, but yeah, it was so cool. It was such a good seminar. I really enjoyed it. Um, I would highly suggest, as the new guy here, I would highly suggest if you're thinking about doing it, if you're brand into it and you see an opportunity to do a seminar, I highly recommend it because it wasn't what I expected. I expected a lot more sparring. I thought it was going to be 2 hours of just intense, like brutal sparring, whatever. But that wasn't the case at all. It was actually incredibly broken down technique, and it was drill and repetition, and so it was really awesome. Some of the higher belts were walking around helping, the inexperienced belts like myself, or the lesser experienced belts like myself, um, learn the technique and really drilling. And I needed help with a lot of it, which is a surprise to nobody. But it was really cool. I really enjoyed it, and I wish her the absolute best at her next journey. And she's been doing this for a long time. I'm still the new guy on the block, and I'm very thankful that I have other professors, a phenomenal coaches that are there to continue the learning, continue the programs and everything. My coach in particular is the person that teaches me. So on a regular basis anyway. And so I'm very thankful for the coaches, the instructors, the mentorship. It's just such a phenomenal gym. I can't say enough how much I love Gracie Baja and everything that they're about. They represent the culture of it, the community of it, the family atmosphere, the family environment. It doesn't matter. I just again in my very little breadth of experience with it, it doesn't matter if you're 80 years old, 70 years old, if you're out of shape, if you're totally in shape, if you're, it just really doesn't matter your background or your demographic or what's going on. I wholeheartedly believe every body is welcome. And it's, that's kind of Gracie Baja's thing, is jujitsu for everyone. But that's absolutely true, is that anybody can walk through those doors, and their family, they're welcome to train. We're going to be there for them. We're going to help them. They've done that for me, and I'm very thankful. So, if you ever get a chance, if you're ever curious, I know I've got some people that I think are going to come check it out with me at some point, and I would love to have them. Because for me, I was talking with an individual yesterday who wants to come out and try it, and I think they just said they're kind of nervous, and I was like, well, I'm incredibly nervous. I mean, I circled the building like multiple times, and I sat in the parking lot forever before I actually went in because it was so intimidating to me to go to my first lesson. But as soon as I walked through the door, I was welcomed. I was given thorough instruction. I was fitted for, a gi, and taught how to tie the belt and some of the rules and the background. And it was just a really good experience for me. And the students were absolutely incredible. The coach was absolutely incredible. And so if you are ever on the fence about it and you ever want to try, highly recommend you give it a shot. Gracie Baja is a phenomenal place. It's instantly become a home for me, a place that I am able to go and feel incredible, a sense of community and camaraderie. If but there's so many gyms out there at the same time. So if you don't have one nearby, or if it's something, just go out and try. Go out and walk through the door, give it a shot, see what happens, and I think you'll be really surprised with how pleasant of an experience it is. So, with that being said, I have to get ready and go. But I want to thank you guys for listening. Sorry that I haven't been as active lately. I've got more episodes coming and everything. It's just like most people know, life happens. But definitely excited to get back on the mats next week and share with you guys all the cool experiences and all the learning that I get. And I think I'm going to start. I'm trying to learn. So my coach speaks Portuguese, and I'm trying to learn as much of it as I can. So maybe I'll start sharing like a word with you guys or something like that, because I'm slowly learning. So uh, happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing incredible out there. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I know that I'm not coming from a place of experience, so it's probably not that exciting for people that are overly experienced, but it's also an opportunity for people that are experienced to maybe help people like me. Or maybe if you are new like me, then you can lean on some of that experience. So I just want to thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram at don't forget to tap that like button and that subscribe button. And I really appreciate you guys listening. And I would love to hear from you guys on some stuff that you guys would like to hear in the future. Or if you're interested in doing an interview, I'd love to have you as well. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.